welcome back to my channel. Hope you're doing great. We are back again with another tutorial, and before we start, I would like to say a big thank you to all of you for the birthday wishes, the prayers, the comments, your likes. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. Now who say I not like on, I like on, I finish. Thank you all. Thank you all. As you have wished me well, so God Almighty will wish you all well. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. So today we're going to be making one shoulder yoke party dress. And if you're new to my channel, you are welcome. Please subscribe, like, and share my video. If you have been with me, you're also welcome, and keep on watching. So these are the items we need for this tutorial. We need 1 yard of lace fabric. We need 2.5 yards of satin fabric. We need 2 yards of lining and 1.5 meters of chiffon fabric. So we'll be needing this chiffon fabric later on, so I will set this aside first. We'll go ahead and cut out the inner one. So I'm going to be using this lace fabric. This is a handmade lace fabric. I'm going to be laying it at the upper part. This will be at the front side, and this will be inside of this one. I'll be making the upper part and the down part of this. So I'll be making it like a yoke. Cutting out the upper part first before I'll cut out the down part. So I'll use the biggest part of the body for the upper one, that's the bust measurement, to cut out the fabric. I will use the lining to cut it out first. The inner one is just like a yoke dress. So I will minus 7 inches from it. So that's the upper bust measurement. So I will take it up to the upper bust measurement. So I'll go ahead and place the measurements. So shoulder to bust is 9 inches plus half inch sewing allowance, that is 9.5 inches. Then shoulder to under bust is 11.5 inches plus half inch sewing allowance, that is 12 inches. Shoulder to waist is 15.5 inches plus half inch sewing allowance, that is 16 inches. I'll be adding 1 inch for allowance. So we make a horizontal line here. So I'll cut it like an off shoulder bust here. So I'll be making a cut here. The bust palm is 8 inches divided by 2, which is 4 inches plus half inch sewing allowance. That is 4.5 inches. I'll mark my 4.5 inches here. This is the under bust measurement, and this is the bust line, 4.5 inches here. And I will come to the waistline. I will also mark 4.5 inches. I will mark it all the way down. I will still mark 4.5 inches here, the upper part. I will connect the lines together. So I will come to the bust line. I will come down 1 inch from the bust line, and I will go 1 inch above the bust line. Then I'll come to, this is under bust measurement. I'll take 1 inch on the side and take 1 inch on the side. I'll go to the waistline, take 1 inch on the side and take 1 inch on the left side. Then I'll connect my lines. So I'll connect it to this 1 inch below the bust line. I'll connect the 1 inch to the waist measurement. I'll connect this one also to the waistline. I'm just taking 1 inch for the waist and 1 inch for under bust measurement. And I will come to this side. This is 1 inch above the bust line. So I'll come to the chest line. Instead of me marking 4 inches here, I'm marking 5 inches here, not 4 inches. So I'll come to the chest line. I would mark 1 inch on this side, and also mark 1 inch on this side. So I'll still connect it to meet the 1 inch above the bust line. I'll place the circumference measurement now. So for the upper part, I added 1 inch. Instead of making the upper part 4.5 inches, I added 1 inch to it So I make this 5.5 inches. Then I marked 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side. So I'll be placing the measurement now. So I'll place the bust measurement here. So this is chest line or over bust measurement. So the bust measurement is 35 inches divided by 4, which is 8 and 3/4. 8 and 3/4. On the placing these 2 inches, I marked out back. That is 10 and 3/4 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. And I'll mark 12 and 3/4 here. The under bust measurement is 30 inches divided by 4, which is 7.5 inches. So I'll mark 7.5 inches plus these 2 inches. These 2 inches I marked out. That is 9.5 inches plus 2 inches sewing allowance, which is 11.5 inches. I'll mark my 11.5 inches here. I'll bring this to the waistline. I'll go ahead and connect the lines together. So from the chest line to the under bust measurement, from under bust measurement to the waistline. I'm cutting it like a tube. I'll use this to cut out the normal fabric. I'm cutting out the back side. I'm marking 1.5 inch for zipper allowance. And I will still place my taper like this, minus the 7 inches I minus from the front one. And I will take the chest line. Now this is the chest line. Then I will take the bust line, which is 9.5 inches. I will take the waistline, which is 16 inches plus sewing allowance. Then I'll add 1 inch for seam allowance. So I'll draw a line here. So I'm adding just that to the back panel. So I'll place my 4.5 inches for the bust palm. So this is the bust line. I'll still place my 4.5 inches right from this line. So I'm not adding the zip allowance to it. I'll mark it all the way down. So I'll go ahead and place the circumference measurement. And don't forget, this is the chest line. I'll still place the bust measurement here because the two will be starting from the over bust measurement. The two will be starting from the chest line. So I'll place my bust measurement here. So the bust measurement is 8 1/4. Then I'll be adding 2 inches for sewing allowance. That is a 10 1/4. I'll add my 10 1/4 here. So I'll come to the waistline, place the waist measurement. I'll add 2 inches for sewing allowance and 1 inch for that, which is, I'll mark the 10.5 inches here. So I'll go ahead and connect the lines. So I'll come to the waistline. I'll take 1/2 inch here on this side and 1/2 inch here on this side for dart allowance. So this is the dart line, and I will connect right from the bust line, or you can go 1 inch above the bust line if you want and connect it to meet this 1/2 inch dart measurement. And on this side, I'll take it like so. So I'll go ahead and cut it out. So I'll use this to cut out the normal fabric. I will be cutting out the down part. So I folded the fabric into two. I'm cutting out the skirt now. So this is the back one. The back one is 1.5 inch bigger than the front one. So this is for zipper allowance for the back side, and this is the front one. I'm cutting both of them together. So I'll place the measurement from waist to hip is 8 inches plus ½ inch sewing allowance is 8.5 inches. I'll mark my 8.5 inches here, and I'll place the waist measurement. The waist measurement is 28 inches divided by 4, which is 7 inches. I'll add 1 inch for that and 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. So I'm adding 2.5 inches. So, and this is the hip line. The hip measurement is 38 inches divided by 4, which is 8 3/4. And I'll add 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. From the hip line, I will come down 2 inches from the hip line. Then from there, I will minus 1 inch from the hip measurement. So this is, the hip measurement is now 10.5 inches plus seam allowance, everything. Then I will mark here right from 2 inches below the hip measurement. I will minus 1 or 1.5 inch from it. And I'll mark 9 inches or 9.5 inches. So I'll mark here 9.5 inches all the way down, because I minus 1 inch from the hip line, so that the down part will be a little bit fitted. I'll connect from the waist to the hip line. Cutting it out now. After cutting it out, I will split the back panel into 2, because that is where I will insert my zip. Finish cutting the down part, so I cut the lining as well. I will set this aside and cut the last one. That's the lace fabric. So for the lace fabric, I'm going to be using this pattern paper to cut it out. I'll be cutting one shoulder off. I have a video on how to draft a basic pattern. You can check it out. I will link it in the description box below. So this is the basic pattern. This is about 24 inches. Shall we first cut out the one shoulder? So I'll be cutting one side out. I'll be cutting out the left side. So I'll take it like this. It's the same method you will use for the back panel. The only difference is I'm going to be adding 2 inches to the back one for zipper allowance. You still cut to the same method. So I'm going to cut this out. So I will transfer this to my fabric now. I will lay the fabric on the table and lay the pattern against the fabric and cut it out, trace it out. It's the same thing for the back panel. The back panel, you only add 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on this side for zipper allowance. So I'm cutting it out. So I'll do the same thing to the back panel. Just add about 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on the other side for the back side. We finished cutting everything out. Next is for us to put the whole fabric together. So I'll go ahead and sew the lining and the fabric together for the upper part and the down part. This is the back side. This is the front part. I'll sew the lining to it. and do the same thing to the down part. I'll still attach the lining to it. So I finished attaching the lining to the fabric. So I sew it and then turn it to the other side. I've done series of these videos, so I don't need to be doing it again. So I gave it a good press. These are the two back panels, and these ones are for the front. And I've also attached the lining to the down part. So this is the back one and this is the front one. I use an overlock machine for the edges. What we're going to do next is to attach this to this and attach this to this. So we attach this to this. This is the front one. I will sew it like I always say, you start sewing it right from the bottom upwards. Then I will attach this also. So I will sew it, so this. After sewing it, I will attach the down part to the upper part. I'll make sure the right side are facing each other, pin them together. Join the front one, join the back one as well. For the back one, I will attach this to this and attach this to this. I'll make sure the right side are facing each other as well. I'll finish sewing them together. This is the back panel. Remember, I marked out 1 inch for the dart measurement, so I've put in the dart. This is the back dart. Before I join them together, I make sure I sew my dart. This dart is from chest to the waistline, and the down part is 5 inches dart. I'm making a slit at the back, 16 inches. I left 16 inches unsewed at the back, so the person can walk freely. And this is the front one. I've sewn the tube together. Then I joined them also together. This is the dart, 5 inches measurement for the dart. So what I'm going to do is to place the lace fabric on top of this. So this is basically the front one. So I'll lay the lace fabric against this. So from shoulder to where the tube started is 8 inches. I cut some of the lace design, so I will use it to fill in the gaps here. I'll use a hand stitch to stitch the embroidery to it. After that, I will sew the side here. I will attach the lace fabric to the tube, and I will come to this side and sew 1/2 inch on this side. Let me bring the back panel. So I wanted to add zip to the back side, but I will be adding the zip at the side seam. So this is the back one. I cut out more of these also to fill in the gaps at the back. So I will do the same thing to the back side. I will use a hand stitch to stitch the design to it. Then I will attach the lace to both sides. I finished attaching the lace to the sides. This is the back panel, and this is the front one. And I've also hemmed the neckline. I'll pin the shoulder. And pin the side. I'm not going to be adding the zip to the back side, so I'll be attaching it here by the side seam here. I will leave this place unsewed because this is where I'm going to attach my zip. So I will place the exact measurement, the bust measurement, waist measurement, and the hip measurement. Then I will sew the side. I will sew the side. I will leave this place unsewed, like I said earlier. From here, I will sew from here because this is where I'm going to attach my zip. Sew it all the way down. I finished sewing the both side. So I supposed to be attaching the zip on this side, but I changed my mind. I'll be attaching this side of the sleeve here. If I attach my zip on this side, it's going to distract the sleeve. So I will rather attach it on this side. Next is for me to attach the zip to the dress. So I will take my 1 inch or 1.5 inch for the zipper allowance. So I'll sew 1 inch on this side and sew 1 inch on the other side. Then for the sleeve, I'm just using one sleeve. So I cut out a basic sleeve. I have a video in my channel on how to draft out a basic sleeve. I'm going to cut 3 inches out from this side. So I'll cut 3 inches out from this side. Then after I've done that, I will hem this place. I will hem here. I will hem it here. Then I will attach this to the side here. And I will show you guys how I attach it anyway. So I finished attaching the zip to the dress. And I've also hemmed the armhole. So I'm going to be attaching the sleeve to this side. I will just match the side seam together. I'm attaching it just at the armpit, just little, about 4 inches. My client will put her hand through there. So I'll just attach it here, just here about 3 inches. I will just stitch it 3 inches here at the armpit. So this is the down part. So I will be adding the chiffon here. Stitch it here, or I will use something to pin it there. So that's it for today. Thank you so much guys for watching. I will see you on my next one. Please subscribe to my channel. I love you. Bye.